this table where we laughed and talked all day. So long ago, love was offered. The joy of being together made you want to stay. Take me back to now.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Life with Nana. I'm Nana, and I'm so glad you're here today. Today, we're going to continue on with a series of homemade mixes that you can make at home instead of buying at the store. So, this is what I have for you today. Cream of anything soup. You can make this up, and you can store it in a jar or whatever you have. And when you go to make this, if you want cream of chicken soup, you could add some dry chicken bouillon. If you want cream of mushroom, same thing. Beef, same thing. So you can make pretty much any cream of soup out of this recipe. I love this recipe and I keep it on hand at all times. So the first thing we're going to need is a cup of non-fat powdered milk. And this is, can y'all believe this is my last one? Nana's got to go to the store. I use this a lot. We need 1 cup of this. There's a little bit left in there. And I just fold it over, put a little clip on it, put it back up in my cabinet. So we've got our 1 cup of non-fat dry milk. Now listen, everything will be in the show notes or the description below the video. You'll find all the recipes for everything we're making today down there. 3/4 of a cup of cornstarch. Now that sounds like a lot, but we're making quite a bit. So I have a 1/4 measurer. So we're going to need 3 of those. Now you can do this in your stand mixer or your food processor or your blender. I'm just doing it in a bowl today to kind of show you what we're going to do. And I'm going to store mine in pint jars. So I think what I'm going to go with today is just the onion powder. So we need 2 tablespoons of onion powder. Or minced onions, whichever one you decide to go with. That smells good. And then I have my other ingredients here. So let me get them turned around where I can see what everything is. Alright, so we've got our onion powder in here. Okay. Nana, y'all know, it's calling for both. So we had 2 tablespoons of the onion powder, and we're going to put a tablespoon of dried onions in here. These are onions that were dried from the store. And then a teaspoon of basil. This is homegrown basil. Let's see if a half one will go in. We're going to use 2 because I'm using a half measurer because it won't go down in my jar. The next thing is black pepper. This is something we're almost out of. I've got to pick some more of this up too. I would really like to buy this in bulk. Alright, we're going to use some dried thyme. This is some of those that I found at that yard sale. Super strong smell, so I know that it's going to be good. That was what I was talking about in that video. if you open your spices and you don't immediately get that wonderful thyme smell or basil smell or parsley or whatever, you'll know it's not probably going to be very good. All right, so we need a teaspoon of parsley. All right, we're going to mix this together. And it says to make the soup, you're going to use 1/3 cup of the dry ingredients to 1 1/4 cup of liquid. If you're wanting to use, if you have liquid chicken stock and you wanted to make cream of chicken soup, that's what you would use. If you're going to make something that you don't have a liquid version of, like beef stock, liquid, vegetable stock, chicken stock, and all you have is the powdered version, then just use cool water, and that will be really good. Get my spoon here. Okay, we're just going to put this in the jar. And a pint jar holds 2 cups. If I can get that to go down. Yeah. So a pint jar holds 2 cups. You're going to be using 1/3 of a cup when you're making like for 1 can of soup. So what is that? That's 6 cans of soup in there, I think. And we're just going to wipe the rim. We're going to put a lid on it. And we want to mark these what they are. So I'm just going to put cream of anything. And then I'm going to write on here 1/3 cup mix to 1 1/4 liquid. And there you have it. This would be the equivalent of about 6 cans, I think, of like cream of chicken soup, which has gotten outrageous lately. Have y'all noticed? A can of soup is $2. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, so we've got that one done. Lay these here so I can put them on the show notes when I get ready to do that part. All right, I'm going to use the same bowl, same flavor profiles. So I'm going to need the parsley. I'm going to need black pepper, garlic, an onion, and thyme. Now this is a ranch dip. In my opinion, ranch dip needs some dill. So I'm going to add dill to this. All right, so we're going to need the parsley first. I'm going to use a teaspoon. All right, so a teaspoon of salt. Ground black pepper, 3/4 of a teaspoon. And this is going to be enough for you to just mix up one little batch, okay? I already have some mixed up, so I'm just showing you how to do one. But now if you wanted to make a whole jar of this, you're going to need to double, triple, quadruple everything we're doing here. Garlic powder. A 1/2 teaspoon. Onion powder, 1/4 of a teaspoon. And then thyme, 1/8 of a teaspoon. And then we're just going to mix this. This is not much, but we're going to mix this together. It says mix parsley, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and thyme in a small bowl. Well, I got this bowl, so that's what we got. And if you were going to make this up, which I think what we'll do, since I already have some made up, I think what we'll do is we'll make up some. You can mix this with a cup of mayonnaise and a cup of buttermilk for ranch dressing, or 1 1/3 cup of sour cream and 1/4 of a cup of buttermilk ranch for ranch dip. So I'm going to get the sour cream and we'll mix that together. So we're going to do a cup of mayonnaise. I'm in the wrong place. All right, for the ranch dip, we're going to use 1 3/4 cup of sour cream and 1/4 cup of buttermilk. Now, I don't have any buttermilk, so I'm going to have to kind of make that up. So what did I say? 1 3/4 cup. All of my sour cream. And we're just going to start mixing this together, and then I'm going to mix up some mock buttermilk. And I'm just going to put a little bit of milk in here, about 1/4 of a cup. And a good substitution for buttermilk is either vinegar in your, you take your milk and you add a little vinegar, or a little bit of lemon juice. And because we're making a dip, I'm just going to put 2 or 3 drops of lemon juice in there. This will thicken up. When it sits in the refrigerator and gets cold. I don't think I put my dill in there. And even if I did, I don't mind there being a little more dill. This is some homegrown, home-dried dill. Perfect. I knew that didn't have dill in it. That's going to be a weird combination. I'm drinking hot chocolate. Dill with hot chocolate. And so I'm going to pour this up into one of my little dishes here and put the lid on it and put it in the refrigerator. And we will have that for later with some carrots or chips or whatever anybody wants. And that'll go in the fridge and it'll thicken up nicely. And I want to write on here to add the dill because I will forget that. Okay, get all that out of there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to make is some chili, homemade chili powder. All right, so the next thing we're going to make is a chili powder mix. And so we're going to start off with 1/4 cup of chili powder. Wipe this off, it had baking powder in it. All right, so 1/4 cup of that. A tablespoon of paprika. I'm having to use a teaspoon. So put 2 of those on there. And a tablespoon of cumin. I don't know if that's how y'all say it, but that's how we say it here in the South. Wonderful smell. Real vibrant. 2 teaspoons of onion, granulated onion. 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons, okay. Make sure I get my teaspoons and tablespoons right. Again, if you want to make a jar full, then you would make double, triple, quadruple, whatever you want. So we got some garlic powder, and we need a teaspoon of that. And you can add cayenne pepper or pepper flakes. I'm not going to because we're not fans of the heat. But if you are, you just go right ahead. And then 4 teaspoons of salt. Remember, you're not going to be using this whole recipe in one bowl of chili. So it looks like a lot of salt, but this will not be for a whole thing of chili. And then 2 teaspoons of black pepper. All right. I'm just going to mix this up until it's well combined. Alright, so I decided I would go out and get some of these smaller jars because we're not going to need the whole pint. That jar holds about 1 cup if it's up to the very rim. So this is a little shy of a cup. And I'm just going to write on here chili mix. And you're going to want to use 2 tablespoons of this for a large batch of chili. Like the last video of last month, the chili with the mummy hash browns, that little packet that I bought, look what I got for a whole lot less money. So I'm really tickled with this. So I'm gonna write on here 2 tablespoons per batch. Chili. And then I will know. All right. All right, so the next one we're going to do is a taco seasoning. Let me get all my... So we're going to need paprika. I don't think there's 5 tablespoons of that in there. Oh, we'll get out the other one. Garlic powder, onion powder, cumin, chili, oregano. Did I put that back up? Oregano, salt, cornstarch. Okay, that's what we need. So the first thing is going to be the paprika. You're going to need 5 tablespoons. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason they're different colors is just because they were a different kind, you know. Sometimes you buy some and it's a little not as colorful. Smooth those out of the way. And then we're going to need 1 1/4 teaspoons of garlic powder. One 1/4 teaspoons of cumin. And I spilled a little bit, so I'm going to call that a 1/4. Onion powder, 1 1/4 teaspoons. Oregano, 1 teaspoon. And then one teaspoon of chili powder. One and a half teaspoons of cornstarch. That's going to help things thicken up. 1 1/2. This smells so wonderful. It is super fragrant. And I'm just going to put a lid on this with a ring just like before. And we're going to write on here what it is, because you will not remember. You think you will. You think you will, but you will not. So this is taco. And I'm going to say 2 tablespoons of this for a normal batch of tacos. It's what you'll want to use. All right. So we've got that. We've got our ranch. We've got our chili seasoning mix. And we've got our taco seasoning mix. So this is wonderful. These are wonderful things to have on the shelf. Now I would have made big jars of this had I not already had some on the shelf. I just wanted to show you how to do it. But if you want everything in one place, that is one good thing about doing YouTube, is you can go to the person that you like and you can look at their description box, and most of the time the recipes are in the box. And you can just print those off, just like what I've done, and I'm putting them in a binder so that we'll have them and we can make them over and over again, and I can stop buying those little bitty packages that are $2 a packet. Now I did buy the name brand ones, but still, even if it was $1, this is not going to cost me anywhere near $1. And because I didn't use hardly, any out of one particular spice that I have here. So Remember, Nana loves you. Remember, I'm so, so proud of you. Remember, you always have a friend here. And I'll see you on the next one.